This little form is responsible for kickstarting your life in Germany. It's responsible for making it all happen. And you need it for your Anmeldung appointment, which is the most important appointment you will have when you land in Germany, in which we recommend to actually book before you move here. Not doing this will cause you a lot of stress and chaos. Okay, maybe that's a little bit exaggerated, but it's very critical to do so. In this video, we will outline the process on how to go about your first Anmeldung in Germany and all the things you can expect. And although my previous statement might have been a little bit exaggerated, this one is not. If you watch until the end, this video alone could potentially save you thousands of euros. Hey, my name is Jen and I'm from Guatemala.
And mine is Yvonne and I'm German.
And together we're from simplegermany.com, where we create English content to empower internationals to move to and settle into life in Germany more smoothly.
We prepared a little Anmeldung kit for you, which includes all of the forms you need to complete in German and the English translations, so you have a smooth process. You can get that kit via the link in the description below.
All right, so just to clarify what the hell we're talking about here, what is the Anmeldung, Yvonne?
The Anmeldung is pretty much you telling the German government that you're here to stay, that you're not just a tourist and you're gonna be out of here within 90 days. So you need to register yourself with the address that you're living in, with your city registrations office, making the statement that you're staying here minimum 90 days.
Okay, cool. That sounds very nice. And but why is this so crucial? Why did I exaggerate at the beginning of the video?
The Anmeldung is literally your single most important appointment at the beginning when moving to Germany, because without that registration, none of the other bureaucratic processes that you need to go through will be possible. So it's pretty much the trigger for it all. And what is for it all? It is for, most importantly, you being able to apply for your residence permit, which then will be the piece of paper, not really, the card that lets you stay several years, exactly. But also you will be able to get your tax ID, which you kind of need. You also will be able to sign up to certain other services, bank accounts, internet, electricity, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, and also very important here, if you are an EU citizen, you also need to do the Anmeldung. It's not just for those who don't have an EU passport. So if you hold a German passport or any other EU passport, you need to do this. And what's most important is that once you do the Anmeldung, the thing that you're looking for that they'll give you, it's a piece of paper called the 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝗺𝗃. And this is the thing that will unlock the world of Germany for you.
Because you will get asked for it, so hold on to it tight.
Yes.
And the time frame to do this is by law, actually within the first 14 days moving to Germany. We actually recommend as soon as possible, day 1, 2, or 3, if possible, which is why we say make that appointment for it before you move.
So it's 2025 and I'm showing a piece of paper that's a form. Can't I just do this online and just like submit it? Do I need to print this? Do I need to have this piece of paper?
Yes, you do. And that doesn't mean that it's not possible online. It actually is nowadays in 2025. However, not for you. I'm sorry, not yet. Or not ever, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is there are some information out there in forums that hint at you being able to do this online. Even some of the websites of the cities where you make this appointment try to push you to make it online because, of course, they want to also smoothen out their processes. However, ignore any of that information because you cannot. The only people who can do this process, use this online service to register or re-register, better said, are people already living in Germany. Because what is needed is a digital, either German ID or a digital foreigner's ID, pretty much your residence permit, which will also be unlocked in a digital form once you get it. But if you're a newcomer and it's your very first time moving here, you don't have either of those two. So without those, you cannot do it online. Hence, you gotta go the old route and use a paper form and show up in person.
Yes, so very important here just to keep a little bit of timeline. So you do your Anmeldung, then with that you get your 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗃𝗀𝗺𝗃. With that you can apply to your residence permit. If you're not an EU citizen, you will get that piece of plastic. And usually this residence permit will have the capability for you to activate it so you can do things online. And one of those things that you can do online is the Anmeldung in the future.
If you move within Germany in the future, yeah.
So, because keep in mind that this process, you need to do it every time that you move to a new place. So if you land in a short-term apartment, for example, you do your Anmeldung there. And then when you get a long-term apartment, you need to do your Anmeldung again because you need to update that address. And for that, if you activated your residence permit, then you could do it online. Okay, so this leads to the next question. It's like, how do I actually make this appointment? First of all, I can make the appointment online, right?
Yes, I was going to say that you can do online. You have to do online, actually. And you need to go to the website of your so-called Bürgeramt. That is one way of saying citizens or...
citizens office,
I mean, the citizen, you have the nationality, right? Like your residence office, residence registration office. Now, bear in mind, Bürgeramt is the overarching term used. However, each city might have a different name for it. Einwohnermeldeamt, Landeskreisverbandsamt, whatsoever. But Bürgeramt is the overarching, which you should, kind of like find your way. We will link to the websites of the biggest cities in Germany that foreigners live in this Anmeldung kit that we have prepared for you. So download it, and then you have directly the link for your city or an explanation how to find yours if you're not in one of the big cities. Now, again, let's talk about timeline, which is super important because this is, again, highly individual. Some cities only open appointments 2 weeks in advance. So that pretty much means you should latest look into this 2 weeks before you actually move to Germany. One of the examples is Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf, where we live in, actually so far at the moment only opens appointments 2 weeks in advance. Other cities like Bonn or also Berlin partially open appointments 3 to 4 months in advance. Like at the time of recording this video, which is now end of September, I was able to make an appointment in the city of Bonn until December. Wow. In Berlin until I think the end of October. In Düsseldorf, 2 weeks only, like till mid-October. So this is why it's important for you to prepare your move in advance, to actually go to the website of the city that you're moving to and inform yourself what's possible. Again, it's crucial to get an appointment as soon as you land, just to not lose time and get your process of settling in Germany more smoothly going.
Yes, I would give one recommendation here maybe. Do not book your appointment maybe to the day after you land because delays and stuff could happen, or jet lag, you don't know. Maybe put it like 3 days after you land. This allows you to land smoothly. And second of all, a lot of actually forums also recommend, which I think is not a bad idea, to actually go to this Bürgeramt's office. Either if your appointment's in the afternoon, go in the morning to actually scout the area so you're not late, or go the day before if it's in the morning, just to check, like where the building is. Because a lot of the times on Google Maps, the building says here, but it's way inside in a building or far along on a whole complex, hidden. So, and you don't want to be late for this appointment because if you're late, you're going to miss it and then you need to reschedule. Germans are not going to wait for you to be like, oh, you were late here 15 minutes. Let me go ahead and no, gone. So be sure to be on time. And for that, practice arriving or arrive 30 minutes earlier so you have enough time to actually find the office and wait there.
One more important thing, if you are moving with your family or with a spouse, if you're married, you need one appointment for both of you, but you should mention the number of people in the application. Usually you need to select the number of people when you make an appointment. And if you are a married couple, only one needs to show up, but then you need a power of attorney for the other one, or you just both show up. If you're a family with kids, then your kids don't need to show up, but you need to have all of the documents for your kids ready, which leads us to the next point. Which documents do you need to bring?
Yeah, so number one, of course, the form that we showed at the beginning of the video. You need to fill that out.
Some cities actually allow you to fill that in online when you make the appointment. Every city is individual. Again, this is just a general overview we're going to give. Always follow all of the details and information that your city gives you. And if they ask for other documents that we're going to be mentioning now, bring them as well. And just take the form with you if you have it, just for peace of mind.
Yes. So going to the second requirement is your valid passport and visa, if you got one to come to Germany.
Next up is another form, and that is the landlord's confirmation that you are legit living in the place that you moved into. In German, this is called 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝗺𝗀𝗺. And this is a huge deal because without that, you will not get registered. A rental contract is not enough. It needs to be this piece of paper that is part of our Anmeldung kit as well.
Yes, well, not the piece of paper, it's the form, how it looks like for your landlord to fill out.
Yeah.
Because pretty much what this paper is saying is that you have a rental contract and this landlord guarantees or kind of like confirms that you are living there and that's you.
It's pretty much to just avoid any fake registration, any fraud or anything that is... you're not living here when you're living here or the other way around. And actually there's some quite huge fines. If a landlord issues such a paper fraudulently, there's a fine of 50,000 euros.
Wow.
And if you misregister wrong or don't register, whatever, you could actually get a fine of 1,000 euros. So this is, just do it right.
Yeah, exactly.
And this piece of paper is why we, in other videos that you can find on our channel, we stress so much that it's so important where you choose to live for the first time, like your temporary home, because let's say a hotel, if you just stay there for the first week, will not issue this paper. So that's why.
Now, the next document will depend on your civil status. If you're single, you don't need to bring anything. However, if you are married, divorced, widowed, what else do we have on our list? Or have kids, that's not a civil status, but it's in the list, then you need to bring the appropriate documents. So if they're in a different language, you of course will need to have that translated into German. For example, your divorce certificate or your, how do you call that in English, your widowed certificate. And if you have kids, most likely they will also ask for the birth certificates of your children that you can show and present so they can also be registered under your address.
Right, they should be translated into German most of the time. We've had certain cities that accept them in English, but I wouldn't count on that because there's nothing worse than appearing and then saying like, oh, no, because then you delay the whole process by weeks. If you don't have any convenient translation service in your home country, because ideally you translate them already before you move, then you can use the services of Lingo King. We will leave the link in the description. They're an online translation service, super smooth. Our community has been working with them for years and it's really an amazing service, super fast. And then also inform yourself whether your home country needs to have translations or official documents like that legalized or apostilled. Because if you do, you need to get them prior to moving so that you can have the proper documents here in Germany to showcase to the caseworker.
This list is just the basic documents that the Citizens Office might ask. Some might ask for less, some might ask for more. Again, it's important for you to inform yourself and gather that list of documents. And at the end, sometimes it's a case-by-case basis. So yeah, pretty much show up with the appointment with all the documents that you can. And just, again, make sure to read what requirements your city has.
Yeah, rather have more and they are not needed than less and you are not getting your registration.
Yes. Now, an important tripwire to avoid, and this is the one that can save you potentially thousands of euros a year, it's the so-called church tax. Tell me about it.
So on this form, there is one tiny little line that all nonchalant, innocently is asking you either whether you're religious or if you're a member of any church. And depending on how you answer this, this has consequences because the German government has a deal with some churches or some religious constitutions, groups, that they actually subtract money directly from your paycheck to then give to the churches, and this is the so-called church tax. It's 8 to 9% from your income tax, so it's not a small amount. It can accumulate quite fast. And this is important for you to know because you need to make a decision or just be aware of it. Now, very important, there is some advice out there from other people that just say leave it blank because then you save money. I would never say that because you should not lie. If you are a member of, let's say, the Catholic Church and you would like to remain so either whenever you go back home or you want to get married in church or whatsoever, you want to have your kids baptized, whatever it is, then you should never lie because that can massively backfire. We go more into this topic in detail to explain the ins and outs of it in actually the video that we did on the church tax, which you can find actually up here or in the description below. And I would only encourage you to watch it, also to learn which churches pay and which don't, to be educated and not lie and just say, oh, I'll leave this blank because someone told me I can save money with this. You can, but maybe you don't want to.
Yes, and also another thing in that video that I highly recommend for you to watch if you are religious in some sort of shape, we also talk about an example of someone who lied and what happened to them. So make sure to watch it.
So let's walk you through real quick what happens at that appointment once you're there. First, Jen already emphasized, be on time, meaning like be half an hour early. A, to find the place, and B, to just be relaxed. But more importantly, depending on the city and how their system operates nowadays, here in Düsseldorf, when you walk in, you'll have big screens that will A, tell you kind of like your number once you get a call and which counter you should go to. However, before that, you need to actually tell them through the screen that you are there.
You need to do a check-in.
Exactly. Just because you physically show up doesn't mean that they know they're there because they don't see you. There's like walls in between, doors closed and stuff. So when you do the appointment, you'll get an email that gives you a number. And also here, just real quick, when you do the appointment, sometimes you even need to confirm that you made the appointment within that email. Düsseldorf does that, for example. So just be sure to read every single line properly, translate it to English if necessary, and follow the instructions. So when you arrive, take the number that you got in that email, punch it into the system, into the screen, and say, I am here, I want to check in. Only then will you actually get called once it's your turn.
I would also say nowadays, also super cool, at least in Düsseldorf, this is also in English, so it's very easy to do the check-in. This video really is not for you to be scared or anything. It's a very simple appointment, but there's just a few steps that you need to follow.
If you missed that tiny little step, you're there, but you won't get called. So that is a screw up.
So just to keep in mind.
Then once you called, you just go to the counter that was indicated on the screen. And then, to be honest, whether they will speak English or German highly varies. Expect German, just to be prepared. Prepare a few sentences, hallo, guten Tag, and just know what they'll be asking you based on the form that you filled out. And some might speak English. Last time we had ours in Düsseldorf, the lady was super friendly and was super happy to speak English. Other cities, not so much. So this is really a case-by-case scenario.
Yeah, and also I would say nowadays, also with technology and stuff, if the person only speaks German, you can kindly ask. Ask is a very important word here. Ask if it's okay for you to use a translator app. For example, Google Translate. Now you can record and hear the translation, and you can answer and then record and then...
I say recording is probably very, very tricky, but just you can type.
Yeah, like the voice or something. But ask. This is very important. Ask and simply ask Google Translate. Okay, that is asking, for example.
Rule of thumb for any bureaucratic process, be patient and friendly. The other person might be super friendly or very reserved because they're just doing their job. So don't take us as being rude. They're just following through with their process. And be mindful because that question about whether you're religious or not might be asked again. So stay consistent. You don't need to explain anything. You can just say yes and your religion or no.
No.
And then one thing I just want to highlight real quick, because there was also something that our community members point out, that some cities, for example, Düsseldorf and maybe others as well, they actually give you a little goodie bag, like welcoming you to the city, giving you some leaflets, explaining things. Some have like some discounts or vouchers. So they felt very welcomed and well received.
That's pretty cool. And again, the whole point of doing this is not only to enter the system, but to get a physical piece of paper called the Meldebescheinigung. This is your golden ticket. As a foreigner, you will be asked for this Meldebescheinigung a lot. For example, when you get your phone contract or when you get your internet contract or any other contract, actually. Sometimes I think even in the gym, they ask me for the Meldebescheinigung. This is just for Germans to pretty much know that you're actually living here.
And not just a tourist, yeah.
And not just a tourist. Also sometimes for opening a bank account. The document comes handy at all times. So save it, scan it, save it in a safe place, and don't just discard it. Oh, I have this document that they gave me. No, this is, I cannot emphasize enough, this is gold.
This is what triggers, also opens the doors to lots of things, yes. And then what happens after this appointment? Yes, you get this piece of paper. Amazing. And you are part of the German system. Woohoo! It sounds so... but yes, that's what you want after all. However, there will be some silent triggers that you don't really need the piece of paper for, but that happens in the background. Most importantly is your tax ID will be created. And if you're employed and you already start working, as soon as you receive it via snail mail, postal mail, give it to your employer super fast so they can actually tax you accordingly, like correctly. Because if you don't give it to them, you will get the highest tax bracket. Because of this, make sure that the place, the apartment, wherever you're living, your last name is actually on the mailbox, because you will get this letter and a few others delivered by postal mail. And if your name is not on the mailbox, you won't receive the letter.
Even though you live in that address.
So the tax ID usually takes between 4 to 6 weeks. Just keep an eye on your letterbox. There will be another letter you most likely will receive. Some within 2 weeks, others 4 weeks, others never. It really depends. And that is from the so-called Rundfunkbeitrag, the German broadcasting service. And there is a licensing fee that every household, not every person, but every household needs to pay, usually quarterly. And you will, through the registration, get invited to register with them to then, get pretty much charged for that. It is obligatory. There is no way out, really, as a resident in Germany. So just look out for that letter and then register yourself accordingly. You can do that online.
Yes, and also just not to scare you about this thing. It's a monthly, currently at the time of recording, it's like 19 euros per month per household. Of course, this price changes throughout the years. And also very important, I can only tell you this as a hot tip from a foreigner myself, is that whatever mail you get in your inbox, read it, translate it, understand it. Because a lot of the times what I did at the beginning is like, oh, this is another letter, now we'll just discard it. And then later be like, oh crap, I actually needed that, actually understand what you're getting. Google Translate it. Now with technology, super easy. Take a picture, upload it to 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀 if you are comfortable uploading your information there, and just ask for a summary. And, just to be sure that you're not missing anything critical.
Yep. And start a little folder where you can file all the bureaucratic paperwork.
Yeah, so that should be actually like a point that you should do. Get a folder because you're going to get a lot of papers.
Another thing that will be silently triggered is the creation of your German credit score. Now, we're not going to go in depth into this. We actually have another video on the topic. It's called 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀. And in Germany, your credit score gets created for you at the best score you can get. And your job is to maintain it by not misbehaving and by not paying invoices late and stuff like that. You don't need to build it like in other countries. And most importantly, also with the Meldebescheinigung, you can now go ahead and actually apply for your residence permit with the immigration office, the Ausländerbehörde. And again, rather do this sooner than later because, again, bureaucracy takes time and you need to register before you can proceed to do so.
Whew. Even though this video was with a hell of a lot of information, don't worry, this appointment is very straightforward. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to complete if everything goes in order, and you will be able to walk out of the office relieved because you finally achieved entering the German system. And again, we have prepared the Anmeldung kit, which has all the forms that you will need, as well as some instructions on how to fill it, which you can find in the description box below. Ooh, and also please subscribe and like this video if this video was helpful to you. Until next time, cheers!